On tonight's program, ladies and gentlemen, we have something that's going to make you sick.
My beautiful aliens, hello, and welcome back to the Authentically Blue podcast. I am your host, Carlson. This is editing me popping in to say, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. It's been a long time coming. It's been in the vault for a minute, but we have the amazing Key. She's an artist. She is so talented. I adore and love her songs, and I'm sure you guys will too. If you're listening to this in the future when she's won a Grammy or an amazing award, okay, hey, welcome. Enjoy and relish in this episode. We're going to have so many more episodes to come, and we had a beautiful conversation about life, and you know what, I will tease you guys, so go listen. The video episode is up on Patreon. Go show me some love, and thank you for being here. Recording in progress. Hello, my beautiful aliens. Welcome back to the Authentically Blue podcast. Today I have a beautiful guest with me. Her name is Keearah, and she's an artist. Do you want to say hello to the people?
Yes. Hi, beautiful aliens. I am Keearah. You can call me Key, and I'm a singer-songwriter from Austin, Texas, and I'm so excited to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. Before I dive into your work, which I'm obsessed with and I can't wait for people to listen to, I wanted to know a little bit more about 7-year-old you. What were you interested in? What were you passionate about? Because I find it's a pivotal age. It's like a journey, because who you were when you were 7 links to who you are now. Are you different? Are you the same? Tell us a little bit more about that.
I love that question. I've actually been trying to do some inner child work because I don't remember a lot about my childhood for some reason. And so it's hard for me to navigate like who I am now as a person, even because it's like, who was I? And so it's one of those things that I'm like working through. But from what I do remember is that I was fearless, feisty, and I still have some of that. But
Oh, yeah.
that's before the world tells you who you should
Who you
be.
are.
Right.
hmm
So I know I was fearless, I was feisty. I think I was very loving, and that has always remained the same no matter what I've been through. And very creative, just seeing the world through this childlike wonder, that has also remained the same. And I think that's when people tell me that, oh, you're so youthful and you're so bubbly, or even people call me adorable because I just have this like, I'm so curious and about the world and about music and so many things. And I'm really glad that that's who I got to be as a kid, and I'm still allowed to be that way as an adult. But 7-year-old me, I have no idea what I was even doing. I was playing soccer.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, I was played soccer for 8 years. I was an athlete before all of this. I know normally that like High School Musical, you have to pick between the two.
Between the two.
But
Yeah.
I ended up ultimately picking music. But I was an athlete for quite some time, and I was a Girl
Yeah.
Scout, just trying to volunteer, sell the cookies, do all that.
I love
But
that.
I would love to have a conversation with my 7-year-old self. I like that's such a good question.
Oh, yeah.
Um, it makes me kind of
Thank you.
sad because you're like
No.
13-year difference, and look at that. You kind of forget what it's like to be 7, to be young.
Absolutely. And I think that's why I usually like asking people in the beginning who they were as 7-year-old, because it links to who they are now. And I feel like a lot
Yeah.
of the things you've mentioned, as someone who just met you, and when I listen to your music, I see and feel those things. And I find
Oh.
that really beautiful that that's how you'd think of, your 7-year-old self. And who would you say, how are you now?
Mm.
How would you describe yourselves as, would you describe yourself as with the same qualities or?
Mhm. Yeah, for I think I said like I said I am still very loving. I'm still very curious. I'm still a bit fearless, but sometimes there are things that scare the hell out of me.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so
I think that comes with adulthood as you're
right, like
growing.
it's like, oh, this is scary. This is scary. So I think just
Mm.
turning 20, I'm entering this new phase and chapter of my life, honestly a little bit jaded. I think we're told how adulthood will go, and
hmm
college and all the things the milestones that you dream of hitting when you're 7 years old and however old. And
hmm
you kind of navigate the world and you're like, this isn't what I thought. And so I'm right now, that's how I am feeling. But I guess I guess my qualities though is hmm, I've been working on being a person that has boundaries and
Hmm.
balance, which is really, really difficult
Oh yeah.
because I mean, in this industry, in your personal life, it's
Yeah.
hard to have boundaries, but make sure that you are balanced throughout those boundaries, not being too pushy, not being a doormat, all those things. So I'm balancing how it is to be a Black woman in this world
Yeah.
and in the industry as well. It's just so many, I don't even like there's just so many things to it that make you
Yeah.
think like not if you're cut out for it, but it kind of makes you feel, oh my goodness, this
It's
is
character building.
yeah, for sure. It's character building for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm still little me. I'm still like
Yeah.
I feel like I've changed all like overnight and
Hmm.
also at the same time like at nothing at all. Some days
Isn't
I
that
feel
beautiful?
incredible. Yeah. Like it was almost like it was meant to happen in that I am still my 7-year-old self, my 8-year-old self, my 9-year-old self. It's just kind of like those ages are still with me. Like kind of like
Yeah.
a Russian doll, like
Yeah.
how it's kind of just like you said, character building. So some days I feel incredibly in tune with my younger self and I feel like I'm 7. And then some days I
Hmm.
feel like I'm 32 and I'm like, oh, I'm grown, So it just kind of depends, but I'm honestly figuring it out. I don't think that I need to put too much pressure on myself to figuring out who I am and what Kiara likes and if I'm key, like all these things. Like there's things that I think about on a daily
Yeah.
basis, and it's just so beautiful and relieving to just let myself be sometimes. And this summer has been incredibly chill for me. I
Yeah.
haven't done anything that I didn't want to do. Um,
That's
I've been,
amazing.
like I said, expressing myself, my boundaries, and right now I'm in this period of like the limbo phase where I'm just kind of here, kind of
Hmm.
floating and seeing if it can kind of narrow down and show me the light at the end of the tunnel,
It's I
which
know.
should I do
Yeah.
next. So I've been bored, honestly, very bored.
Mm.
And but that I think
I
there's,
think,
there's beauty in
yeah,
that too.
absolutely. I was gonna say you said amazing things, but I would say with the boredom thing, I think especially as a creative, letting yourself be bored, you get to see
Mhm.
to find what sparks joy or what intrigues you or fascinates you. But I was also gonna
Absolutely.
say, you've said so many beautiful things. My mind's a bit
I know
uh
I ramble. That's why I'm like, okay,
no.
get to
We
the
ramble
point.
on here, they know. I think you're one perfect guest.
Thank
We
you.
rumble like crazy. But I think it's really beautiful. I was gonna say, you being, you know how you said you feel like younger you sometimes, or sometimes you don't. And oh, I remembered what I wanted to say.
Hmm.
The balance thing. I was gonna say
Hmm.
balance and boundaries. I think that's a never-ending journey. And I think
Hmm.
it's really beautiful that you're so self-aware and you're very in tune with that because when people are not honest with themselves or find it
Hmm.
hard to focus on things that affect their lives, it can be really difficult. And I preach that on my podcast. Be honest with yourself. And I think it's beautiful to hear that you are being honest with yourself and letting yourself be. And that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But
Do you want to tell?
for
Hmm.
you to even notice that means that I'm a big believer in like things are mirrors and whatnot. So it's like for you to even believe that
Oh,
and notice that about myself, I can already tell that you possess the same qualities about being self-aware and like, I see you, you see me sort of thing. Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. When you said like about the mirror thing you just mentioned, when you're talking about this summer and being and not doing things that you don't want to do, I was thinking in my head about my summer. I'm assuming my listeners were doing the same as well, because when someone's talking about, and I was just thinking like, I haven't, like one of my goals this summer was to have like a part-time job and I've been applying
Mm.
for them and not getting it.
Mm.
And it's been a bit frustrating, but I'm
Me
like, you know what?
too. Me too.
Really? That's
Yes,
crazy.
I've been unemployed this summer and I've been battling the guilt of that because I've been working
Same.
jobs since I was 16. So it's like
Hmm.
this is the first time that I've truly been unemployed since then. And I felt terrible because, I know creatives are supposed to like create and whatnot. And this was the time to do it because I didn't have to go to work. But I just felt
Yeah.
so guilty half the time because I was just like, I
Oh.
should be working. I should be getting money, 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 money. That's just what they're pushing this narrative now. Money this, money that. You need money to do anything. You
Yeah.
need money to create sometimes. So it's
Oh
like
yeah.
I just felt so guilty not having a job this summer, but I think it was truly for the better.
Yeah.
And it'll come when it's meant to happen, it'll happen. Like I'm going back
That's what
to
I was telling
university.
myself as well. But I wait, I think we spoke of each other. What did you say?
Oh, I was
The
saying I'm
last
going
bit?
back to university in the like this month actually. Oh my goodness. And I'll have my college part-time job then. So
Oh,
this
what do
summer
you
was
study?
truly for I'm studying music. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, I get
That's
a lot of
amazing.
frowns. So it's nice to see you like you're
Oh
smiling and
no. Oh no. If I study social policy in university, but if I
oh, I
wasn't doing
love
social
that.
policy, every time I meet and I'm normally drawn to people who are doing music and people tell me they're doing music, I'm like, why didn't you do music? Because I'm like, my family will be like, what are you doing? So
No, actually, that is your family having your family support you doing something that's not the status quo is
yeah,
a blessing. And not that my family
100%.
doesn't, but they're, typical Black family,
Yeah.
kind of like wanting the best for you and wanting to protect you and making sure that you're financially stable and all that. And with jobs like this and with careers like this, they're like,
It's not
"Mm,
traditional or stable,
yeah, yeah.
but it's very fulfilling, I must
Oh,
say.
absolutely.
Yeah. Which leads me to my next question. What fulfills you in life? What are you passionate about? I
Mm.
know you're interested in a variety of different things, but feel free to rumble. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I really love this question because I've been thinking about that, honestly. I've been journaling a lot. I used to be someone who never journaled consistently, but now I'm writing. Any thought that comes into my head, I'm writing it down. So I've been thinking a
Welcome
lot
to
about
my
this.
world.
Yeah.
Do you physically journal or do you
Yes,
journal?
yes, yes.
Okay, pen and
I am
paper. You're a pen and
I'm
paper girly.
pen and paper. I literally it's back there. I don't know if you can see that like green thing over
I
there,
can. And your
but
room
like
is so
that.
cute.
Thank
Yeah.
you. That is my journal. I keep it, I bring it with me now. Any thought
Mhm.
that I have, I write it down as a songwriter, but also just as a person. I'm like, I need to get this out my brain.
Yeah.
Um,
It's very
and
therapeutic and helps a
yes,
lot.
yes. And then
Yeah.
just seeing it, I'm like, oh, this is what I was thinking about. This is how I was feeling, whatever. And I'm try I did the pen and paper. I've been doing the pen and paper for a while, but I'm really doing it because things that are quick, I'll normally write in my notes on my phone. But I have found that I
Yeah.
want to kind of shift from doing the whole technology thing. And I know that is kind of the
Um,
opposite direction of where the world is going with all this
no.
technology. But
Yeah.
I want to be like the pen and paper girl and like write my
There's
songs
something
and
special
journal.
about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like what happened to that? I want a quill. I want to get a quill and with the ink and everything. Like what happened to the art of writing stuff down? So I'm
Yeah.
so into that. But like I was saying, I've been journaling and trying to figure out that myself, like what truly fulfills me. And
Mhm.
I think when I first started writing, music was the only thing that truly fulfilled me because I was in a really dark spot in my life. And then I
Mhm.
kind of got obsessed with it, the idea of
Yeah.
being an artist and having the limelight on me and
Yeah.
getting to do all the famous people things. And I kind of got wrapped up in that whole ideology and
Narrative.
yeah, the whole narrative about what it would be like to be famous and how people love you and all these things. Because, you're not healing your trauma, not feeling loved or whatever can kind of reflect in your art
Oh
um,
yeah.
and your need for praise. And I'm
Yeah.
really big on words of affirmation. And what better
Hmm.
way to get words of affirmation than have people say, "I love you, your music's amazing." So,
That is facts. Yeah.
right. So in that time, I was like, I need this, and I became very obsessive. And as I've kind of aged a little bit and experienced more life, I think that music still fulfills me, but not in an obsessive way. So of course, music, writing, those things fulfill me.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been very adamant on finding things outside of my artistry, outside of music, that will also fulfill me because you have to ask yourself, like, what happens if you never get the praise that you
Mm.
are intending to get?
Seeking. Yeah.
Yeah. And you will feel if that fulfills you and you don't get the feedback that you're wanting, what will happen then? You'll feel not fulfilled. And
Yeah.
so I needed to find things that will fulfill me no matter what my
Hmm.
music career looks like. So skating, I roller
Oh,
skate. I
I
roller
love
skate.
that.
Kind of want to, I don't really post about it a lot on social media, but I literally go to the tennis courts in my
Yeah.
neighborhood. I'll skate on my street and I'm just practicing. I've been doing it backwards. I love skating. Austin has
It
some
sounds very freeing.
it's so free. Like
Yeah.
get your headphones, go outside,
Stop.
and it's
No,
actually
with the
worth it.
music as well. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes, you do the music and you're just skating to the beat and it's so,
Moving your body.
oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever felt so cool and so like just free. I love it. So roller skating has been really big for me these past 2 summers.
I love
And
that for you.
yes, I love that. I love skating. And then what else? I think I have it in my journal, but I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I would
Hmm.
say I want to be a person who has more hobbies. Reading, that's what it is. Reading.
Oh.
I love reading. I just got out of my reading slump. I hit one at least once a year, but
Oh
I
yeah,
just
welcome. I'm like that as well.
I literally have a bookshelf in my closet with books and books and books, and I love reading. I actually just started a book club yesterday,
You
and
did. I saw your story. I didn't watch it fully because I was like looking at your page trying to see
yeah,
what we can
yeah.
talk about. And I was like, are you starting a book club? That's so cool. Tell
Yes,
us
I started
more.
a book club yesterday, and I just thought it would be a
Congrats.
cool idea. Thank you. I thought it would be
Mhm.
cool to include my fans, and I hate calling them that, my supporters,
Your
and
community.
yeah, yes, perfect word, my community, people who
Yeah.
support me, kind of like let them in on my life, because I think
Hmm.
it's cool when artists show different parts of themselves, like not just I'm not
Yeah.
just an artist because, like I was saying before, I'm multifaceted. I'm an artist
Yeah.
who likes to read, who likes to roller skate, who likes to bake, even though I'm not the best baker. I like to
Baking
bake.
is a science. People think cooking is hard. Baking needs
Baking.
specificity.
I, I
It's
I just made
crazy.
a banana bread last, no, maybe the week before last, and
Yeah.
it looked amazing. And then I bit into it, and I was just like,
No.
I was like, it's not
What
terrible, but
is
maybe
it?
I should have maybe used more unsalted butter. Like that's the thing. You
A
put all the
different thing.
ingredients together, the mix looks amazing, it smells amazing. You dip your finger in it, and it's like
And like,
then you put it in
what's
the oven,
happening?
and then it comes out a completely different thing. So I'm trying to get better at that because I think
You'll
baking
be
is
very fulfilled. I'll tell you that much. Once you get the
oh,
science down,
I'm I don't know. I'm gonna
amazing.
have to follow more recipes or so. And like I had the knife even on the measuring cups, like to try to
Doing the
get,
whole thing.
and it still did not turn out the way that I wanted to, but it was okay. It wasn't horrible. It was still edible, which
Yeah. But you want to
progress.
improve on it. Yeah,
Yes,
100%.
of course. So baking is
I'll
something
send
I'm
you
also into. Please send me whatever.
I'll send you a recipe, the one I'm addicted to. It's called spanakopita. It's a Greek dish. It's
Ooh,
like spinach
ooh,
and feta cheese. Not that complicated,
ooh.
but very delicious. Your family and you will love it. So I'll send it to you.
Oh, please send it to me because
And
I've
I'll
been
link it down below for the people as well.
yes.
Haven't forgot.
That sounds so good. I love
Yeah.
stuff like spinach dip. I love stuff like that. So delicious. Yeah, baking. And then I want to get into ceramics and like just more
Pottery.
creative outlets. Like I wanted to
Yeah.
actually start my own podcast, but I always I have a mic over there. I just kind of get like because it just seems a lot. Even the TikToks and the YouTube, I don't really do YouTube a lot, but when I do, the
Yeah.
editing is the bane of my existence, and I
Existence.
could not imagine having
Yeah.
to edit
Uh-huh.
what hour of footage? Oh no, 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 no. So I maybe kudos to you, but maybe that'll be
Thank
something
you.
that I like do in the future. But I
If you
forgot
ever need help with that, I've got you. If you need any
to
advice on starting, I
please.
personally love editing, so I'm happy to edit for you, just so you know.
Oh
If
my
you ever want to
gosh.
do it, I am
Yes.
down. Yeah.
I was thinking to myself, I was like, I need to hire somebody to edit my stuff because I'm kind of, I do the content creation, but then it's almost like the editing is a whole other separate entity.
That's
And
my favorite part. People don't like the editing bit, and I don't understand it. Like
oh,
when I was doing the podcast, I'm doing season 3 for now, but
uh-huh.
season 1 and 2 was like audio only. Whereas now that I'm having guests on, I'm trying to do video, and because people want to see
Yes,
my face, and I'm like, I am very old school. I like cassettes and radios, and like, let's do voice
yes,
only.
yes.
But I I also kind of have a YouTube channel. I upload here and there, trying
Mhm,
to work on it. But I find visual editing really fun because there's stuff happening on the screen. However, with audio in the beginning, I don't know whether you relate to this as a musician. Like, did you
mhm.
find it odd hearing your voice
Oh my
in the
gosh,
beginning?
yes, 1,000%. It almost
Yeah.
makes you want to delete the whole thing, and you're like, I'm not posting this, because you're like, why did I say that, or why did my voice do that, or I don't even. It just kind of, for sure, I
It
understand
can
what
be a
you
bit
mean.
yucky until you
Yeah.
kind of get used to it and you're like, get over yourself. I enjoy this. Like
Yes,
it's an
yes.
element that people just experience. But I
Mhm.
felt that with editing, with doing the podcast, and it took me, I promised myself in the very beginning just 7 episodes because my friend bought me this mic for my birthday and I was like, you know what, I have to do it. I'm not gonna
Yes.
do music, but I'm gonna do the podcast. So I did 7 episodes and editing was I was so nervous doing it. So I could hear my nerves and because I know myself, but then once I did the first 7 episodes out of the way, I enjoyed editing because I'm like, are people gonna like this? You know, I was like into all
Yeah,
of that.
yeah.
But I got you if you need any help editing.
Yes, after this, we should exchange numbers, emails, all of that. I know I
Yeah,
actually already have your email, but we should
I'll give you my number. Yeah.
yes, let's do that and we can talk because I have been wanting to start, like, I literally journaled it last night. I was like, I want to start a podcast. I don't know what I'm
Oh,
going to talk about, but
you can figure it out.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. But I know that I want to just because I love to yap. And I think that lately, just growing up, I've been feeling kind of, I don't know if it's, I can't really decipher if it's, I feel alone or if I feel lonely or if it's both.
Mm,
Sometimes I feel both.
yeah.
But I'm now that I'm in school and I've gone out and I'm going to school out of state,
Hmm.
you make friends who live all across the world, all across the
Yeah.
country, and
Yeah.
you don't get to really see them. And I'm someone who really struggles with like object and emotional permanence, where
Hmm.
it's like, even though I know we're friends and I love you and you love me, the
Yeah.
second that we split and you're in
A
Tennessee and I'm
different
here,
place. Yeah.
I just feel like, do they still like me? Do they still want to be my friend?
Ah.
And I start panicking about, are these people even my friends? And so me
Mm,
being home all summer and not having any friends in Texas really, like, I felt kind of alone. And I
yeah.
think that me being able to talk out loud, because I do talk to myself. I know some people think that that's
I'm not
crazy.
laughing because it's weird. I'm laughing because I people around me always say that to me, and I don't do it, and they're like, I'm like, you're crazy in a joking way, but I'm like, I talk to
Yeah.
myself in my head. Don't worry.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
no, I talk out loud and I know that
it's
some
fine.
people that they think it's crazy. And people that are like do know me, they're very used to it. And I'll like remind them, I'll say, hey, I'm not talking to you. And like I know you're not. Like you're talking to
It's
yourself.
okay.
So
Yeah.
it's just there's a lot going up on here.
Oh
So
yeah,
talking out loud, like I said, the journaling, all of that has been so therapeutic for me.
I
So I
can
was like,
imagine.
if no one listens to the podcast, I don't even care. Whereas like my music, that would hurt my pride a lot. But the
I hear that.
podcast, I
Yeah,
wouldn't care because it's almost for me. Like that's one
that's
thing
how I
that I
feel. Yeah.
truly feel that I could have. Because music, you do have an audience, and as you do for a podcast. But I feel like music, you have to be a little bit more impressive. You're not just,
Yeah. It's a bit more
slamming.
personal.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So I feel more pressure to write a certain lyric that'll make their jaw drop or something like
Oh
that,
yeah.
but I don't have to say anything profound in a
No.
podcast, in my podcast, I would imagine, because I'm just rambling to get it
Yeah.
out
And
and kind
it's
of work through my emotions. So
100.
that's why I feel like, oh, the podcast would be so nice for me.
Yeah.
Another creative outlet, but with less pressure than music.
Yeah. It's very
Yeah.
freeing. I was gonna say, I think like with my podcast, I've had waves. Like when I did season one, the 7 episodes, I had the most listeners on the podcast, like
Oh
30
my
to 40
gosh.
people would tune in. And then
Yeah.
there's some days only 3 or 4 people tune in, some
Oh,
days seven
yeah.
people. So I'm
Yeah.
just like, I use Notion for my content creating and planning. And on my podcast page, I've written at the top, this is for the one person who needs it or who would
Mm.
want to hear this, and my younger self. And I just think if no one tunes in, it's fine. I've decided to do this for the people who are interested and who will come. And the beauty with podcasting is it's not everyone's cup of tea, but for the people who find it and stick by you or like tune in here and there, it's very
Yes.
rewarding
Yes. A
and it
thousand
feels
percent.
good.
It
Yeah.
does. It really does. It feels like people seeing you and just being there. And I'm not a
Mhm.
huge podcast like listener of podcasts, but I've been trying to get into it because I think it's again a rest on my ears from all the music that I listen to. So last
Yeah.
night I actually like this is just so interesting. Last night I turned on Emma Chamberlain's podcast,
Yeah.
Anything Goes, and she was talking about friends and whatnot because I was just feeling a little bit down about a friendship breakup that I've been going
Those
through.
are the
And
worst.
it's
I'm
just
sending you love.
oh yeah, they're so bad. Oh my goodness.
Worse than heartbreak. I'm doing a whole
Oh
episode on
yeah.
that. It's coming. It's coming.
It's horrible.
Crazy.
So I'm processing that and I was listening and I was like, this is nice. It was like I'm talking to a friend. Like and she's just yapping and I'm just like journaling and on Pinterest and stuff and it was nice. So I'm definitely gonna get in. I'll listen to your podcast. I'll listen to your
I
stuff.
will send you podcasts if you want. I am a podcast junkie.
Please send me them because that's the hard thing. The only reason why I listened to hers,
Finding it. Yeah.
I didn't know. There is this
What
one
to
that I
do.
found that I actually got to be a fly on the wall for, which is crazy. It's called
Uh-huh.
Songwriter Soup. So if you, I know you like music. You said you gravitate
I do.
towards people who, so
Like
these,
music. Yeah.
yeah. So these
It's the
are a group of people who kind of talk about like their creative process and whatnot. It's called
I love
Songwriter
that.
Soup,
Uh-huh.
and
I think I know it actually.
really.
Yeah. I was like, let me check my phone. I think I do.
That's crazy. Yeah, because my mentor is, well, my old mentor was a part of that podcast,
Oh.
and he invited me along with Laura Veltz, which is amazing woman.
Oh.
She's a songwriter, and
Yeah.
she invited me at this Grammy U event, and I got to be a fly on the wall, and it was so cool. They were like in their pajamas on their couch
Oh.
with their microphones,
It's so
and
wholesome.
I was just taking notes, and it was so freaking cool.
Yeah.
Because who gets to sit? Who gets to do something like that? By
You do, and you
I
deserve it,
do.
girly.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
do. I do. So I thought that was really, really cool, and I'm still so grateful for the experience. So I've been listening to them, and I just need more podcasts. So please send me.
I will, and I'll say this before we move on to the next thing is when you start your podcast, I will be tuning in every day. You already have me, and I'm sure, like, you know what's so crazy? Listening to you, so much of what you're saying is resonating to me. I'm like, I can't believe we just met today.
I
And I'm
know.
like, I feel like even with the friends thing when you were saying earlier with the loneliness, I was like, I feel that way. This is
Yes.
crazy.
No, I love moments like this. Like I'm gonna be smiling so big even after we get off of this call because like I I love when things just happen naturally
Yeah.
because a lot of so much of what we're seeing online and whatnot is forced.
Mm.
It's curated. But
Hmm.
stuff like this, you can't fake
It's
it. And
organic. Yeah.
yeah, it's organic. I love the vibes. I love getting to talk to people who I really connect with.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you're across the world. Like that's
I
so
know.
cool.
I
And
know.
and then I get in my head like I this is my friend now.
You are
I
my friend. We are
literally like
friends moving forward.
you are my friend. And I just I love that. So I love building my community of people and
Yeah.
me being getting to be part of yours. I love that and how you're already saying like I want to support you. Like this is how it should be. And I wish that there were more experiences like this. I know they will come,
They
but
will.
when they do come, I'm so grateful for them because
Yeah.
like I said, they're hard to come by like actual authentic people and experiences that make you feel like just like
Yeah.
I love that feeling.
That is so sweet. You know what's so funny is that the last few guests I've had on the podcast have one way or another come to say that they feel very authentic being on my podcast, and my podcast is called Authentically Blue. And I'm like, that's
Oh my
crazy.
God, that's crazy. You're like, see, like this is written, like it's just supposed to happen. And you did
Yeah,
such a, you're amazing. You're obviously meant to do
thank you.
something. Like you're meant to do this
Oh, the
because,
last person said the same thing. And do you know
oh,
how nervous I was before like interviewing people? I always like whenever I'm done with the recording and I'm like watching it, I'm like, that was not me, but it was me. You
That's
know
oh
what
my
I
God,
mean?
that's how I feel when I'm performing, when I'm writing, and I'm like, I wrote that. It's just something that comes. Oh, it's like a creative spirit, whatever you want to
Oh
call it,
yeah.
like comes over you, and you're not yourself. You're simply a vessel for the art that you're
For
supposed to
the
be.
yeah.
Like, so I think that's so cool. But truly, I don't,
Oh.
I normally get nervous for these sort of things.
Oh.
'Cause like I said, I'm a rambler, and some people like you're welcome with my ramble,
Oh
but
yeah.
some people are like, okay, just answer the
Precise.
question.
Answer.
Yes, just answer the question.
But what does that mean?
It's hard for me to do that because I actually have ADHD, so and some
Oh.
people just see it as like, they meet me, oh, you're so bubbly and you're just and I'm like, no, it's actually the ADHD. When I'm in my room, I'm very chill. This is, I don't want to say persona, but I kind of get in this headspace where it's like,
Hmm.
I don't even know how to explain it. It's like I said, there's a
You're
lot
making
going on.
perfect sense to me, and trust me, my listeners also
Perfect.
get it. Yeah.
Perfect. But yeah,
They
I just
they be
didn't.
listening to how I be rambling on here. I'll send you a few of my rambly episodes, and you'll be like,
Yes.
I didn't have to worry. I get what you mean.
Yes. And that's why I'm really excited to get into podcasts because I'll hear people say things and I'll be in my room like, yes,
That's me. Let me tell you, I talked to you about Sophia Bish earlier in the podcast, but because I watched One Tree Hill in 2020,
uh-huh.
and just before the pandemic hit, which was 2020, my grandfather died because he had diabetes. And that was
Mm,
really horrific for me. But my cousin was recommended One Tree Hill for me to watch it. So I did a whole episode on escapism. I am the queen of escapism. So in
mm.
the midst of my grief, I was channeling all my energy into One Tree Hill. And then later when I finished, I found out Sophia Bush has a podcast
Oh my goodness.
called Work in Progress. And there's a beautiful
Mm,
quote that she has that I wanted to tell you earlier, but I'll tell you now, which is one of my favorite quotes. It says, "You can be both a work in progress and a masterpiece simultaneously." Don't you
I love
resonate with
that.
that?
Yes, I am a quote. I mean, I've always been a Pinterest girly, but that's where I
Oh,
like
yeah.
find my quotes and I have a long note in my phone of quotes.
Same.
Yeah, like
I
I
have
literally have a
stuff I
note of
like.
just
Yeah.
quotes, 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 quotes. So I'm gonna add that because it's just nice to hear someone else, not yourself,
Mhm.
express what you are feeling, and
Yeah.
it makes you feel like, oh, I'm not the only one. Because that's
Yeah.
literally how I felt my entire life. I am a perfectionist, and I kind of go about life with that mindset of like, this has to be perfect. I have to be
Mhm.
perfect. My music has to be perfect. My relationships have to be perfect. And it's almost debilitating because it's just like, obviously,
Mm.
that's not possible.
Mm-mm.
So you're like really working yourself in every facet of your life, trying to just be perfect. And it's exhausting. So hearing that is like, true. I am still a work in progress, but like I'm everything who I am meant to be.
You're
And
a
I'm like,
masterpiece
yeah,
at the same
masterpiece.
time because you're
I love
figuring
that.
out who you are. And you know what's so beautiful? Earlier, you're talking about balance and boundaries. I was going to say, life is a never-ending journey of different things. Like when you think, I am a huge believer in manifesting and vision boards. And I think when you have, yeah, when you have all the aspects of your life, whether it's relationships, money, family, career, none of them are ever going to be on a high level. It's like
And that's
comes
what
in
I'm
dips and
trying to
waves.
like process
Understand
and
and be like, it's okay. It's fine. This is part of life.
yeah.
So I'm going to tell you, as someone who was a self-prescribed perfectionist, I'm not anymore. I think for me, with the perfectionism, I had to look and think, who is setting these expectations on me?
Mm,
And
mm,
when I reflected on that personally, it was so a little bit about me because I know you just met me. I was born in London, but when I was 7, my parents divorced. I went to Kenya, lived with my grandparents in the rural area of Kenya for
Hmm.
10 years. I went to high school in the capital of Nairobi, which is Kenya, and then I came back to the UK for A levels and
Wow,
uni.
wow.
So I've lived in like 4 different cities with different people. I've seen all walks of life,
Mm, yeah,
but while living with the different people and different family members, I think it took it took up until the pandemic for me to really like in the midst of my grief to be like pause, pause, pause. What is all this pressure and what is all this expectation and what is it that people want from me? And I had to think, who am I? And lay the foundation. And it's kind of funny because 2 years later, I am going through that process now. Like I'm in therapy at the moment, and I was telling my therapist, it's a never-ending cycle. It's like I feel
yeah.
like I'm back to where I was in 2022, trying to figure
Mm.
out life.
Oh my goodness. I literally
Yeah,
said the same thing.
yeah,
I said that this summer has felt like the summer of 2022 after I graduated, and I'm right back where I'm not even joking. Like I have said that this
right.
summer
It's so
because
weird.
I was like, what is going on? What is going on? So it's so interesting. I'm like I said, I'm just glad that I'm not the only one. And that's crazy
Yeah,
that you're experiencing that as well.
I
Wow.
know. You're
Wow.
feeling how I felt the first half of the episode.
Yes.
But I
Oh my
think
God.
I think as a perfectionist, you have to, I know you're working on it, and as much as I try and tell you, I hope it's like you'll take it in. But as someone who's experienced it, I know it's difficult. You really have to, it takes strength and understanding within yourself to know, but nothing in life is perfect. People change, people come,
Yeah.
people go. You change, you grow, you evolve. What you want changes with time. So give yourself grace. I preach that a lot on this podcast. And love, like, give yourself grace and love. And everything that's meant to be will be. And I think you're doing all the right things. Like when you're talking about the boredom and letting yourself be and, you know,
Yeah.
sitting with the feelings, that the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the journaling, it's all coming together. But let's
Yeah.
dive into your music. I want to talk about your music right
Yes.
now. So,
Hmm.
do you want to talk to us about the first song you ever released?
Oh my gosh, sure. I would love to. So, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like I've always wanted to do this. I just want to
Yay.
say that when you're, I guess in the beginning of whatever creative process you're, like whatever journey you're on with your creative process,
Hmm.
you think about all the things that you want to do. Like I have a bucket list of like, oh, I want to go on Tiny Desk and I want to do all these things.
Oh,
And so being on a podcast is on there. And when you get kind of
wow.
caught up in oh, I'm not this big yet, and I don't have these many followers, and my music only got this many streams this week, and blah, 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 you get in your head about how poor you're doing
Hmm.
at your job or whatever. And just me, even a few months ago, would have
Hmm.
not thought that I would be on a podcast getting to talk to somebody who genuinely cares
Yeah.
about my music and
I
me and whatnot. So I just think this is so cool, and I'm really, really grateful. So
I am
thank you.
happy. I am happy. I'm happy that that something off your bucket list has come because
Yes.
I see you in the next few years. I'm beyond honored to have you on the podcast. I see you on Tiny Desk. I see you getting a Grammy.
Yes.
I see you collaborating with the amazing people you want to collaborate with, and I can't wait for your music to come out, like more music to come out.
Yes.
And it's amazing. Like you have
Thank you
really have a
so
bright
much.
future ahead of you, and you have an amazing personality. So I'm honored. Thank you for coming on
Thank
here.
you. I'm honored. Thank you so much. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to talk about Miss My Ex. Okay, so last summer, there's tea on this. I'm trying to try to filter this tea. So basically, I was
Yeah.
I was with this guy for some time,
Okay.
and we broke up in May of last year, and
Hmm.
then I'm just a girl. It was a really long relationship, so
Yeah.
I kind of filled the void as one does, and I
Hmm.
started talking to this other guy.
Yeah.
Not planned, just it always
It
just happens.
happened.
I'm a
Yeah.
lover girl. It just happened. So I started talking to this other guy, and we had a little summer fling, and then he said something that was really, I don't even know was the word for it, but just super like
There.
uncalled for.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I could sense by
Yeah.
your expression. You're like, how do I phrase this?
Yes.
I was like, out there?
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so he just said something to me that I really did not appreciate, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Hmm.
And I wrote Miss
As
My
you
Ex
should.
very quickly. Yes, very quickly. I had my guitar, and I found the chords for it, and I just started rambling. Like I
Hmm.
was just like, that's how most of my songs happen. Some of them
Yeah.
are like really thought out, but this one was not at all. I was simply just going off of what he made me feel, and that was that my ex would never say something like that to me. And I was like, I'm gonna write a song, Miss My Ex. So originally it was
Yeah.
called, what was it called? I'm trying to think. I Miss My Ex? Or no, it was called You Made Me Miss My Ex, because that is
Ooh,
the
that
first
was yeah.
line of it.
Hmm.
And it's like, what an absurd thing to say. What an abs
That is
like,
true.
yeah, like me, like imagine just, because all my girlfriends are like, girl, are you good? Like, what are you talking about? And I was like, no, I'm serious. This guy made me miss my ex after he said this really crazy thing to me.
Hmm.
And I wrote it in August, so this was last summer. And then I went to school for my sophomore year and I met this guy, this producer, took it to him. And he's like, this is fire, this is great. And I got in the studio, I played the guitar, and we
Yeah.
just started doing the vocals and everything. And it didn't take that long for it to come together. I think we started in September and kind of ended maybe like October, November. So not too long. Normally, songs, getting all that together takes so long, especially for
Hmm.
independent artists. So I'm
Hmm.
surprised how quickly we got everything together. And
That's amazing.
yeah, I wasn't really anticipating it on it being my first song, but because it was the only song that I had produced, I was like, well, why not? Like, let's just put it out. Because if I sit too long on something, I would just not end up doing it. So I was like, let's
Hmm.
just release it. So I got home for winter break and I forced my parents to take my pictures for it. And I was like, I'm releasing this song. And then it came out. And that's
Yeah.
literally like, there's no other like crazy story to it. Like there's no crazy, it just kind
That's
of
an amazing, crazy
came.
story. I don't know what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
No,
That
thank
you
you.
what you I don't know what more you want to add, but that was amazing.
I watch these things and I'll be like, oh, just this like the story that
No,
goes on and on and
I
on. But
was,
it's
you should,
really
I
just
can't wait to like replay this and see my face. But in my head, I was like,
yeah, because
I was
it
keeping quiet to
happened.
let you finish, but my face is like, he did not, or like, that's so cool how that quick came together, you know?
Yeah, and the craziest part from this song is actually because you say you believe in manifesting, so do I.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like this song, like unironically, manifested my ex back into my life. So I'm actually like we've been in contact. So like we've been in contact for
Yeah.
almost a year now. So
I don't know if I can cut this part out if you don't want. I was gonna ask, are you
no,
together?
yeah, so like we're together, but like I
Oh,
nothing that I really because we've broken up before, it's something that I feel a little bit weird about posting on social media because I once
okay.
had him all over my social media and now
Okay.
I'm like, you know what? You need
Let's
to
keep
earn
it private.
yeah, I'm just keeping it
Yeah.
private for now because I don't want to have to when you're going through those breakups, it's a level of hurt is added when people know, like that you don't
Yeah.
want them to know. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want anyone scrutinizing my love life and whatnot. I'm just gonna keep it private. But yeah, we are together. So no, you
I'm
can totally put that in. But yeah,
okay.
we are together
I'm
and
happy for
we've been
you.
together for some time. But that song literally brought him back. Like I'm not joking. So yeah,
Oh, he was
yeah.
probably like, I don't know what kind of idiot you were with, but
Oh my
listen.
gosh. No, literally. And of course he's honored to have a song. I mean, I've written lots of songs about him, but he's so glad and honored to have my first ever song be about him. And he's like
Aw,
feeling himself like, oh, you
good.
miss me? Yeah, I miss
Yeah.
you. But
Yeah.
it was a really fun, like, and cool learning process for me because it was my first one. So there's a lot of things that I've learned since then, and that helped
Mhm.
me really Scarlet that
Mhm.
I kind of took from that experience and applied it to my second song. So it's
When
really
did
fun.
you release? Okay, before we go into Scarlet, I'll just tell you something funny about Miss My Ex.
Uh-huh.
I was listening to it today and I didn't listen to it before because I was like, I want to listen to it the day I'm gonna do this with you, so it's fresh in my
Yeah.
mind. But last night I'll tell you some tea as well, even though I don't really share this much on the podcast. I will. I was talking to somebody who I met. I took a gap year in 2022 to 2023 when I was so I went to Kenya. I was like, I miss home. Let me come back.
Yes.
I went for the year, and then I kind of also I went through a breakup, and I was like, you know what? I've never really been the type of person to talk to different people, but hey, I just turned 22. I'm feeling myself like Taylor Swift. Let me just,
Yeah.
go with the flow. I've always been a bit
Yeah.
hesitant. So it was just by chance that I went to pick up my cousin and then I bumped into someone, and our first interaction was very was not air. He was very like, okay, so I was speaking to him yesterday. That's what I'm bringing it up. But
Mhm.
the way I was telling him yesterday, I didn't like how in the beginning when we first met, the way you decided to approach me when you realized you like me was very much like a
Mm.
kindergarten guy being mean to a girl, and then
Mhm.
the girl being told, but he likes you. That's why he's
Yeah. Oh
being
my gosh.
mean.
Yeah.
I was not here for it. And he was like, okay, but the way you dealt with it made me respect you. I said, yo, I don't like what you're doing right now. And then while I was listening to him speak, he was like, okay, but why wouldn't this work? Like, why are you like against it? And I
Uh,
was like, because one of the many reasons, which I could think of, and I didn't want to hurt his feelings, but I was like, one of the main reasons is because I feel like you want to be with somebody who's not gonna challenge you
mm,
mentally.
mhm,
Technically, it's
mhm.
crazy to say this because I don't feel like any girl is dumb, but he's the type of guy who wants to be with a girl who wouldn't challenge him or is like
Yeah. Yeah.
dumb in a way. I don't know if that makes sense.
No,
Not
a
challenging
thousand
him.
percent. I see what you're saying.
And it made me think my ex wouldn't do that. So when I was listening to your song today, I was like on live trying to get ready for this and on my podcast Instagram live, and I was listening to this, and I wish I saved that recording because I was like, this is what I was feeling last night. This is
Yes, no, like
crazy.
that's truly what I was feeling. And um I feel like some people still don't even know the true meaning because I it might be confusing, but
Mhm.
I'm literally talking to the guy. Like I'm not talking to my ex. Like I'm talking to the guy that made me miss my ex. Because that's what
No,
I said, like
I
I miss
felt that when I was
you.
listening.
Yeah, I was like, he'll be overjoyed. I think in the second verse, I'm like, he'll be overjoyed that I'm like got bored of you. So I'm talking
Mm,
like to this guy about saying like you made me miss this guy. So I know some people like kind of got confused, but yeah, it's a very universal feeling, but I feel like people don't talk about that a lot in their music. So I
no,
was like, let me just write a song about this,
I love
and
it.
thank you so much.
Beautiful first song you've released.
It was literally like an acoustic thing. It sounds so different, just the guitar. I was
Mhm.
planning on releasing an acoustic version, but I just never came around to it. But it was when I wrote it, it was not intended to be R&B, but I love R&B.
Ah,
So I
because I
was
was gonna
like,
ask you,
yeah,
Scarlett is not
no,
R&B,
no, not at
but
all.
that is R&B. And I was gonna ask
Oh
you,
yeah.
I was gonna ask you like, what's your approach with music? But then earlier you mentioned the beauty of experimenting with different things, which was
Yeah,
like, this is really
yeah.
cool.
I love the idea of being versatile. All the best artists that we know are versatile.
Yeah.
And that's how they're able to stay relevant for so long
Hmm.
because they're okay with changing and they're flexible with their sound. So
And trusting
I
their
found
gut.
that the people who have been able to like climb and reinvent themselves and their sound have
Mm-hmm.
stayed relevant. And so I really love the idea of being versatile,
Hmm.
and it kind of helps to draw in an audience that's way bigger than just people who listen to R&B. Like,
Yeah.
if you like SZA, if you like, for that's just one example, but there's this trend that kind of helps artists promote themselves, which is like, oh, if you like
Yeah,
these
I've seen that
artists,
on
you'll like
TikTok.
me. And I've always struggled with those trends because I can't directly
Pinpoint.
pull from one or a few people because like I said, Miss My Ex and Scarlett sound totally different. So it's
Yeah.
like, maybe if you like Disclosure, like the people who do like the like that
Above
sort
like
of
house
music.
music. Yeah.
Yeah, like if then you like this, but some people who like house might not like R&B, so it's kind of hard to really
Put it.
pull in from artists.
Yeah.
So I just kind of I'm just me, and I
You
like
you and you're
I
figuring out
love
your own
working.
sound.
I don't want anyone saying, "Oh, you sound like the next blah blah blah." I
Hmm.
no, I'm me, and the fact that I struggle myself while marketing myself to figure out who I sound like is I'm doing my job correctly. Like I don't want to be
Absolutely.
anybody else.
You took the
So
words straight out of my mouth. I was like, that's
yeah,
what I was thinking. My brain, I was
thank
like,
you,
wait, yeah.
thank
Um,
you.
let's talk about Scarlett.
Yes, I have my new single, Scarlet, just came out in July. And what's today? Like the fifth, the sixth, the sixth. It'll be a month in a couple weeks. I can't believe that.
Hmm.
But I worked with a different producer on this one. He
Yeah.
reached out to me and was like, "I'll produce a song for you at no cost." Which, again, as an independent artist, there's so many blocks and obstacles that we get through
Mm.
with the creative process, like whether it's finding a photographer or finding someone to produce a song, to mix and master the song. Like there's so many loopholes to releasing a song. And like unless you're an avid fan of music, then you wouldn't know that because you just are maybe a listener of music, but you don't really study it. I'm a fan of music and I love my artists who I listen to, but I've
Mm.
learned that I'm a studier of music, so I like to learn all the people who are behind the scenes, what goes into a project, because that's really important for me to know. Because I'm basically like my own label. I'm just running everything
Mm.
out of my own brain. No one's telling me do this, do that, do that. So, thankfully I have of my family who they take pictures and I have enough people in my corner to help me
Yeah.
as an independent artist, but it does get very difficult. So when he said that he wouldn't charge me anything, I was like, thank you, because
Oh,
it's expensive.
that's amazing.
I'm in college.
Yeah.
This it's so expensive. I've come across producers who have charged me $1,500 for a song, like
Oh, wow.
$4,000. I'm like, oh no, I'm not working with you. Like
No,
that's
thank
crazy.
you.
There will
Yeah.
be a time for that when I can afford things like that.
Yeah.
But right now, I gotta work with what I have. So we got together in the studio and we had already been working on a different song of mine that, I haven't released yet. But
Mhm.
then, not
Yet. That's
hasn't
exciting.
yet.
Mhm.
I was in my dorm and he sent me beat at like, if you know anything about like music and just creative process, you are up in the wee hours of the night. So it was probably like midnight or something, and he sent me this beat and he was like, just listen to it, just
See
listen.
what
And I listened
happens.
to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I listened to it and I was like, oh my goodness. Because I had just recently told him that I wanted to release a song that kind of makes you like move. Because Miss My Ex
Yeah.
was kind of like chill in the car. But
Yeah.
Scarlett, I was like, I want something that people can like move to. Whatever that looks like for you, whatever movement that looks like for me, it's like dancing in my mirror. Like, I just want people to move when they hear this.
Yeah.
So he
Or even
perfect.
skate.
Yeah, or skate. Go
Yeah.
skate. I've been thinking about like, should I go out there and skate to a song? So that's
This
literally
is
something
your
that
sign to do it. Yeah.
yep. I'm gonna literally do it today. So I told him that and he perfectly encapsulated that feeling. And I was like, I gotta get on this. I love this.
Mhm.
Hold please. So I write the song in not even 24 hours. And I honestly don't know where the name Scarlet came from. I'm not even
Oh.
gonna lie to you because I just, I knew I wanted to write a song with a name in it because I've been
Hmm.
hearing lots of music with like names in it
Hmm.
around that time period when I wrote it. And I was like, I want to do that. So I was like, what sounds cool? And I was like, Scarlet, because red's my thing. I'm surprised that
I
I'm
was
not
gonna
wearing red
ask you.
today. Like
I was gonna
I'm
ask you,
not
Kale.
wearing.
But
I
you look so
normally
cute.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Normally for stuff like this, I wear red just so I can promo. It can go on my Instagram. But I was like, no, today I want to do something different. But red
It's
is
giving authentically blue.
thank.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about
I'm
that.
here for it. Yeah.
Yes, red's not like red's my thing. So I was like Scarlet's red. Like that's so cool. So I find the name and then in the very first verse, I say, become a little starlet, call my persona Scarlet. And
Mm.
a starlet didn't know what that meant, but it actually does mean something. It's like a young actress or someone who's like pursuing,
Wow.
like Hollywood and whatnot. And I was like, that's so cool because I'm
That's
literally
very
talking
fitting.
about becoming somebody else. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'll become an actress for a night, and I'll just call myself
Persona
Scarlett.
Scarlet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I came up with that, and then the rest of the song kind of wrote itself, and I really love that. It just kind of poured out of me, and it was just like so fun. And
Yeah.
that one I had lots of fun writing, and we got the vocals for it, and we had a blast. Like I'm actually trying to recover some of the footage that we got, and trying to see if I can like show people the process, because sometimes we'll record
Yeah.
us doing vocals and whatnot. But it was just so much fun. Like we would
You
get
should
hyped.
do it.
Yes, like he was
I
like,
would
"Do
personally
that
love to
again."
see it. I'm
Yes, I
subscribed to
love.
your YouTube channel, by the way, if you're going to
Thank
be
you.
posting it there.
Yes, I love watching stuff like that. So I was like, I need to get that footage. But we just recorded the vocals, and then it came together, and I was like, I am releasing this. And I'm really glad that I got to, because like I said, sometimes
Hmm.
you'll have a song and you want to release it, but then something kind of happens, or
Mm.
you just maybe things that you didn't intend to like and plan for. And
I'm about.
this one, and it happened, and I'm happy that it's out. And so, yeah.
It's amazing. How's the reception been? How's it been with releasing out into the world? Has it changed? Because I hear artists say like it's theirs until it's released, and
Oh
then
yeah,
if
a
you
thousand
when you
percent.
do perform it live, have you performed it? You said you had the first
No,
gig
not
this
yet. I
week?
haven't performed it live yet.
Yeah. Okay, when you do perform it live, I'm sure it's going to be very different. Or when
Yeah, it's
even
so
now with
weird.
people receiving it,
Yeah,
how has that been?
it's so weird. Like, again, the numbers thing, I try not to get wrapped up into it, but of course I check my statistics and whatnot. And
Artists, it happens. It's part of the journey, trust me.
yeah, yeah. So honestly, it's been underwhelming, because when you think that you have a hit or something, and you
Mm.
release it, and you're like, these people are gonna love this, and then
Hmm.
it just haven't found the right group of people yet. You're like
Hmm.
kind of waiting around, but the
Hmm.
people that have found it, they love it, and
Yeah.
it makes me so happy, because I know that this is different, and that this might not be everyone's cup of tea, because I didn't even really like house music until Beyonce released it, Renaissance. So I,
Yeah.
I I get it. House music, I don't know if I can really call that house, kind of like house pop,
Even
but
EDM, I would say to a
yeah,
degree.
it's
It's
it's not everyone's
very,
cup of tea. So it
yeah,
was hard for me to kind of um I guess
accept that or
market
see
that to
how it
people.
is.
Yeah, market that to
Yeah.
people who had once fallen in love with me for an R&B song.
Hmm.
But again, I accepted that, and I knew that would happen. So I'm
Hmm.
waiting to find a different audience. And I remember Miss My Ex only has an amount of streams because of TikTok. Like,
Oh,
and yeah, like you promote it, and some of them will kind of go no, I don't know, semi-viral, like get a couple
would
thousand
find
views.
its people on
And
there.
yeah, and then people will like, oh, I'm adding this to my playlist. So that's the only reason, not, I don't want to say the only like amount to, just because of
Thank you.
TikTok.
I was about to say,
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
do that.
like,
Yeah.
but I'm definitely glad that I have used TikTok to
Yeah.
help promote that, because people have found it. So now I'm trying to do that currently for Scarlet, because a lot of people think that you promote it and you market it before it comes out, and then once it comes out, you just kind of stop. That's where artists go wrong. You
You
really got
don't.
to use that momentum of it being out, because now you don't have to make
Yeah.
people wait. Because normally it's like, oh, this song comes out May, blah blah blah, and they're like, oh, then they kind of scroll away because it's not out yet. But now that
Yeah.
it's out, you can tell people, go listen now, it's out. So
Yeah.
kind of using that momentum of it being out and whatnot to promote it. But it is hard. Like I said, I'm doing this all by myself. So I have to get
Think
really
you're an
creative.
amazing job. When I came across your Instagram, I was like, I love that I'm just discovering you while you're releasing your music because obsessed. And I know for a fact my friends are gonna love it. I can't wait to share it and
Thank you
make
so
other people get to
much.
know it too. It's
Thank you.
amazing. I find it really okay with Scarlett. I was gonna say it's very addictive, almost hypnotizing, the production and the vocals. I was like, I was
Yeah.
listening to this. I'm like, I don't know which song I like better because I like them both.
No, yeah, they're like me too. I gotta listen back to them, and I don't hate Miss My Ex. I don't want to like put that out there. I think it's a great first song, but I definitely think that Scarlett, I like Scarlett more, just because
Mm,
I felt, I don't know how to explain it. Like Miss My Ex was not supposed to be a thing, if that makes sense.
it
I
I hear
simply
you.
wrote it because I didn't like what a guy said to me,
And it
and I
captures a
wrote.
moment in time that
Yeah,
you
it's like a
were kind
time
of getting over,
capsule.
and it's like, okay, I don't feel like that really anymore,
Yeah,
type of
so
thing.
it wasn't I wasn't intending for that to ever be like an actual thing. And it
Hmm.
is. I'm glad it is. People like it. But I genuinely was just like, this was not meant to. And a lot of my songs are like that.
Yeah.
There's a song that have called Never Have I Ever, and I haven't released it yet, but
I
I'm
was gonna
supposed to.
ask, I said, why have I not seen this?
Yeah, no. 'Cause
I was so
uh,
confused. I
so
said, wait, is
it's
there
not
more
out
music?
yet.
Okay.
And thankfully, like I said, this year, this past month has been a week of first for me. So I am a part of a nonprofit label called Superwoman Records, and
Beautiful name.
it's like this Black woman led cohort. I really love it,
Hmm.
and basically they have us, I guess, showcase two songs. The audience got to pick which one, and the song that I chose at the time was something that I was feeling so deeply. Um,
Mm.
I was about to turn 20 and I felt like, oh my gosh, my youth is slipping from me. And I just wrote it again, another kind of like journal entry, but just in song.
Yeah.
And I thought it was catchy and it was fun. So I
Hmm.
showcased that one and people liked it. And ultimately, that's one that they chose.
What
And
is the name of the
fast,
song?
never have I ever. It's not
Okay.
out yet though.
Okay.
And I showcase it and fast forward to a few months later, I end up hating the song because
Oh.
I'm like, this is so cheesy. This is really corny. I don't like it.
Mm.
It's still catchy. It'll always be catchy, but this is really corny. Like this is something that I would hear on the radio. And when I first started writing songs, I was like, I don't want to be a radio artist. Like I don't.
Really?
Yeah, and I know that's some people's goal, like to get on the radio. And if I ever have a song, like Scarlett could play on the radio, you know. But
Absolutely. That's what you're like
yeah,
reading my mind.
but I didn't want to be someone that was like hit after hit on the radio
Mm.
because most of those songs that make it to the radio don't really have any substance.
Okay.
So I was like, I didn't want to be that type of writer because I was,
Hmm.
like I said, I was a poet before. I don't want to be like that. So
Hmm.
this felt like that. And I was like, I don't like this song. I don't want to release it. But because the audience chose this one to be a part of the project, I have to
So you
release
perform it. But doesn't that tell you something so beautiful that they liked it? And I
Yeah,
think it's an interesting, I guess, juxtaposition you would say, because I did
yeah,
ask you a question how it feels when you have a song and you release it out into the world, how it takes it. But sometimes I never thought of it from the artist's view of
yeah.
when you don't fully like something, but people like it,
Yeah. So now
or
I feel
maybe
like
you
I'm
grow
done.
out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely grew out of that song. And my dad, he'll keep reminding me, he'll come up to me and say, this person artist hated their song and it's their biggest hit. Like he'll try to encourage me to not feel
Mm.
so badly about the song. And I do. I'm really working through that because like I said, I'm shooting a music video for it tomorrow. So like yeah. So I mean that's exciting. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
Sorry, I'm
But
become a fan. Can you tell? Your
so
face went from I feel like I'm dealing with the fan right now. I am your fan.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I am doing exciting things for it, but it's hard because it's like I never wanted this song to come out.
Navigating.
But hey,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just let it. It's kind of like in the universe's hands now. It's in the audience's hands. If they
Yeah.
like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't, and it's totally fine. But me personally, I know how I feel about the song, and maybe that'll change throughout this process. But it'll be released one day. It's most likely coming out this year. I have a lot of music that I'm trying to release this year. I'm so
Yeah.
excited. I'm so excited.
Which was I was gonna ask you next. I was gonna say what's the plan? Do you have any upcoming music coming out? Anything set? Was anything in the works? Do you wanna let us
Yes.
know?
Um, oh my gosh, I guess like this would be the first official time that I'm like announcing it, but
Where else than
I'm
here?
working on an EP right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's super exciting. And if you don't know, EPs are like mini albums.
Yeah.
Like an EP consists of 4 to 6 songs, and so I've been working
Hmm.
on it with a friend of mine, and I am so excited, like almost too eager and impatient, where it's like I just want to do it now. But it
Yeah.
is coming a lot sooner than even
People
I
think.
thought, but people
Yeah.
think. And Lots of music should be coming out this year, but like I said, it's there's so many twists and turns in this industry
Yeah.
navigating as an independent artist that like I can have a date set for everything and then things kind of fall through. But
Okay.
I really feel it in my bones that like there's gonna be so much music coming out. I don't know how, but it will happen. Like that's it's one of those things where you just have to trust the process.
Yeah.
And I had lots of songs will come out this year, so I'm so excited. I'm so like this year, this
Yeah.
starting from I'll say September onwards, like it's gonna be song after song after song after song. So
I
I'm
can't
excited.
wait. Yeah, that's so exciting. And I was gonna say, I love your determination. I know you said the music industry and being an independent artist. I'm sending you love and
Thank
at your
you.
own pace and timing. And I can't wait. And maybe you can come back for part two, part three,
Yes,
when the stuff,
happy,
when
happy.
you release
Anytime
your
you want.
music.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
This is amazing.
That would be really cool. You know what's so funny? That I have a friend in high school who just he released his EP a few months ago. I'll send you
Mhm.
his work. I think you're gonna like his music.
Yes,
But
please do.
I interviewed him before he released it. So like this, and then he was being like, I can't really say much, okay? I'm like, that's fine. We'll just talk
Yeah.
about how we're talking about right now.
You
And then
know,
when the music
that's
came
literally
out, I was like, we did a part two. So I think it will be fun to
yes,
do
that'd be
that.
so cool. That's I will let you know the details closer to all of that, and we can like set something up
Mhm.
after it comes out. Like that'd be so cool.
Absolutely. Okay, I'll ask you a few more questions and then we can dive into the music more when you do
Yeah,
release more
of
music.
course.
You know how earlier you mentioned you have no specific person that you would be compared
Hmm.
to, which we don't want that anyway, or like someone who you draw inspiration. You have a range of people. Could you tell us some of your favorite music influences if you have any, or
Yes.
the type of music you like?
Yes. So, like I said, it's hard for me to kind of pinpoint my influences because I feel like there's a difference between influences and inspirations. So,
Yeah.
influences, like, I'm still figuring out, but I would say
Mhm.
inspirations, there's a Venn diagram to it, of course. Like, of course, some of my inspirations end up becoming my influences, but I'll speak solely from the inspiration
Yeah.
standpoint, like, perspective. I am very inspired. Well, let me just say that my music is very inspired by whatever I'm listening to at that in that time. And
Okay.
so, for example, Miss My Ex, I was listening to a lot of Kiana Lede at the time.
I love her
I
song
love
X.
I love her.
I didn't even make that connection, but that's amazing. And you know
Yeah, like
how I'm
I
obsessed
like
with her song X?
yes,
Especially
I
after
literally
going through a breakup, I'm like, I love this before I was in a relationship, and here I am after.
yes, I love that song. I love her. Her album Kiki got me through a
A
time
lot.
in my life, but
Yeah.
I love her music so much, and so I was
Hmm.
listening to a lot of her, and she's mainly R&B,
Yeah.
and that's where that came from. And then Scarlett, I was listening to like Madison Beer, and
I
like
can see that.
yeah, like
Make you
Madison Beer,
mine in a
and like
way. Yeah.
Latch by Sam Smith. Like I was kind of like in
Oh,
that disco like club,
zone.
vibe. And so
Mhm.
that's what happened with that. So whatever I'm listening to really inspires my music, I'll say. But I've been listening to a lot of Olivia Dean. I'm very inspired by her. She's actually from the UK as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I love her. She's like jazz. She's amazing. I love Olivia
She
Dean.
is.
I love Chapel Roan.
Oh, yeah.
But I've been listening in Chaperone, and I'm I'm not typically one of those people who are like, I got them first. Like I was listening to them first. But with her, I will do that with because I've been listening to her since 2022, and
Oh,
everyone has discovered her this
recently.
year because of like Coachella and whatnot, which
And
I'm so
Olivia
happy
Rodrigo.
for. I just want
Yeah.
everyone to know that I have been listening to her before all of these things that have put her on the map. So I've been listening to her, and I absolutely am in awe of her artistry.
Hmm.
I never thought for a second that she wouldn't be big because I'm really big into like branding and marketing and all that stuff. And she has this persona and look to her. And I knew that she was going to be big. So I love her artistry overall, but her music is just as good. And hmm, Beyonce, like I said, Renaissance was very inspiring to me
Hmm.
because I it just makes me feel like that girl.
I
And
love that.
it's hard to find music in a world, especially in the pop world, there's not a lot of like uplifting stuff. It's kind of like I hate you. Um,
Mm.
I hate myself. Like you just hear a
Hmm.
lot of messages in the songs that are really
Yeah.
like self-deprecating and I don't like. I mean, at a point I loved music like that, but I've kind of grown from that.
Hmm.
And don't get me wrong, like, I love ballads. I love stuff that really tells all, but we don't have
Hmm.
lots of music like that. So when I heard Renaissance, I was like, "Oh, this is amazing."
Hmm.
So I really do like that album. And then what else? I'm trying to think. I listen to so many people,
That's okay.
but
Do
those
you listen
are
to Renee Rapp?
yes, I love
Okay,
Renee
I was
Rapp.
like, I think you do listen to Renee Rapp. I'll bring that
I
up.
love Renee Rapp. Her album is spectacular. I'm patiently waiting for her next piece of work. She's
Yeah,
amazing. I love her. She's such a character. I actually got to
yeah.
meet her. She's really, really, yeah,
She's amazing.
she's so funny and she's
Oh,
amazing and very
she,
sweet. I
she
love
is.
her.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but there's so many different influences. It's hard to, or
No,
I just inspirations. It's really hard to put them all together.
but
And
what you've said now, I think is it gives us
yeah, it makes sense. Okay, good.
it definitely does. I also didn't ask you this earlier, but I'm curious, was there a specific moment or event that made you decide to pursue music seriously? Is it something you've always wanted? Tell us more
That's
about
such a
that.
good question.
Thank you.
Hmm, I'm trying to think. That's really good because so I want to say yes, but it's also one of those things where it's like you always kind of knew too.
Mm-hmm.
So I've
Mm-hmm.
been singing since I was 3, apparently. Like I said, I don't remember a lot about my childhood, but I have video like footage of me singing with this
Yeah.
like I had this Ariel like the
Oh,
mermaid wig on and I had the dress and I was just singing my heart out.
yeah.
So I have footage of me singing, but of course I don't really remember. And then I actually grew up in a like religious household, so I would sing for church and whatnot. I'm no longer religious in that way, but
You
I
do have
would
a
sing for
soulful voice,
church.
if I may say so myself.
Thank you. So
Yeah.
I was like a worship leader at one point, and when I would go to Houston to visit my dad's side of the family, they would force me to get on stage because I had horrible stage fright. I still kind of do, but
Hmm.
I've gotten so much better. But back then when I was little, I was like, I don't want to do it. And they would
Oh,
make me get up there and sing this little light of
what a
mine. Like
what?
they were just like
Yeah.
and of course, because you're a little kid, they like cheer you on and whatnot, but I was so scared and they would force me every time. And even when I got older, when I visited after I graduated, so years later, they're like, sing a song for us. And I was like,
Oh,
oh my gosh.
they
So
consider you musical. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
So I would
beautiful.
sing in church and then I did musical theater for 4 years and I was not a writer at that point, but still loved to sing and act and do all the theater life. So
Hmm.
that's where I feel like my voice kind of molded into what it is now. And then I ultimately decided to not go with theater because it can be kind of toxic, honestly. And I know a lot of theater kids, uh-oh. Oh wait, I didn't know if you were like frozen. Can you hear me?
Oh, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay,
Oh,
perfect.
perfect. Sorry.
Just want to make sure, like, it was kind of choppy, but I just wanted to make sure that you could hear me. Okay.
It's the
Yeah.
connection. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Uh-huh.
What was I saying? So a lot of theater kids mentioned that it can be toxic, the environment, and I didn't think that until my senior year. There was
Oh,
just so much drama and all that, and I definitely had a part in it and was responsible for some of it, but that's just what happens when you're, how old was I? 17, just kind of
we love
you're going
accountability.
through
You're young. Yeah. It's
yeah,
youth.
and it's not to say that like, oh, I was young, let me just pin all the blame on that.
No, no,
But
no, of
but
course
it was
not.
literally just like I was 17 years old. Like that's simply just you're not
Mm-hmm.
you're not there. And so
Mm-hmm.
looking back, I'm like, what was I doing? I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
but I definitely, yes, I'm very big on accountability, and I played a part in that environment being toxic, unfortunately. But still,
Mm.
I love theater, and I always will. But I ended up not pursuing that in my college years because I just didn't want anything to do with it at the time. I miss it more than
Okay.
ever now. But I went the commercial route, which that's my degree is music, commercial music, and I'm like writing and whatnot. What am I talking about? No, actually, like,
It's
what was the question?
you're making sense to me. I promise you. I told you I'm a rambler. I'm getting I get it.
I'm like, what? No,
I
but normally
absolutely
I have the question in mind and I always find my way back to it, but I actually forgot this time. What was the question?
the question was, can you walk us through wait, no, that's not the question. The question was, is there a specific moment that made you want to pursue music?
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I was. Oh, okay, I was right there then. So it was my senior year of high school.
Hmm.
Um, after because like I said, I started writing initially just to cope and kind of have a method, like a creative outlet to get it all out. And then
Hmm.
my senior year, there's this guy in my theater class who could play the piano, and me and him would like write songs together. And still, even then, I don't know if I truly thought, oh, I want to like do this. I just thought it was fun. Um,
Mm.
and I loved it. I was very passionate about it, but I didn't know if it would be possible
Hmm.
until I was a part of this theater cohort like outside of school, and the guy was like, "You should look into commercial music." And I was like, "Commercial music, like, commercials?" And he's like, "No, no, no. Commercial music
Hmm.
is just like anything real modern, like pop, all of
Mm.
that, like pop culture, all of that." And I was like, "Oh." So I learned about that, and I ended up finding a school that literally had that degree, commercial music. And I moved to Nashville, which again, everyone moves to Nashville apparently because it's a big songwriter hub, it's a big music hub. I didn't know
Hmm.
that. I just thought Nashville was like country, and I'm not really a big
Hmm.
country fan. I'm from Texas,
No,
but
I'll
I
send you my country playlist. I think I
no,
might
maybe
get you on.
maybe you'll convince me because I'm still
I am
trying.
very persuasive. The people know. You're like, and it's not for me, sorry.
Yeah. No, I've been getting into it a lot more now that I've lived in Nashville. I'm still not a big fan of the hillbilly. I'm gonna ride my tractor
Mm.
and
No,
no,
no, no.
not
I'm
that.
not like
But
that either,
I
yeah.
but I love the like blues, country, the
Yes.
folky country. That amazing.
A bit like
Um,
Noka, like Stick Season. That kind of
yes,
vibe.
yes,
Not
yes, that stuff.
fully, yeah.
Yes, so that I can get behind, but the whole like hillbilly stuff, I don't think I'll ever like it.
I
But
hear you.
I'm in Nashville for school, and I think again going back to my senior year, actually, I was talking to an old friend of mine, and we were kind of like thinking of names for my debut album, and I was like, oh wait, I want to do this. Like, this is
Mm.
really fun. This brings a fire to my chest. Like I like this a lot.
Oh,
So I think
yeah.
just talking about the whole album thing and imagining music videos and all that is what really made me want to pursue this. And then the desire just got stronger and stronger with every
Mm.
song that I wrote,
Yeah.
with every person that I showed, and they affirmed me in my craft. And I was like, I want to do this. And even now, I still do. I just think that I was so, like I said, I become jaded as I've kind
Hmm.
of grown up a little bit. Because back then I was just, let's just do it all. Like
Mm.
I had such big plans and dreams for myself, and I still do. But I
Hmm.
think I've become jaded in a way that I'm like, okay, let's be realistic. Whereas I'm a dreamer. I know there's realists and there's dreamers, and I was
Yeah.
always on the dreamer side, and I still am, but I am as I get older, I had to lean more towards the middle because
Hmm.
if you dream too hard, you will wake up and you'll disappoint yourself that it's not
Yeah.
real.
It's not it. We're not here for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I thought this was going to happen. And you convince yourself because, you're dreaming about it. Like you convince yourself, this is going to happen and this is going to happen and
Mm.
I'm going to do this and da da da. Da.
And
And
when
then
it doesn't work out, you're
and
devastated.
you're devastated. And so
Yeah.
I've had to learn the balance of that. So I still have big dreams and whatnot, but in moderation. And so that like I didn't think that an EP would be possible, but it is. So,
What?
an EP.
Stop. You sound like a
I'm
dreamer. When you
serious.
are talking right now, just right now when you're talking and you said I'm a dreamer, I'm like, I was already dreaming
Oh,
about
thank
this and talk about how you were inspired and how you started the journey. And you're right. I do think growing up, there's um a lot of kind of restrictions that are put on us. So we get to see like whether it's the music, like for you, the music industry. I'll give an example for me, like with this podcast, there's actually two guests I wanted on the podcast, and can you believe they went on to other podcasts. The podcasts are bigger than me, but I was like, man, if I wasn't a one woman show, they would be on my podcast. One
Yes.
person she's called Nima. She's a Palestinian artist. She went on Zane
Wait,
Lowe's podcast.
wait.
Yeah.
I know I listened to her.
Yeah, I
I
wanted her
freaking
on my
love her.
podcast. I sent her 3 emails. I don't know whether it's her email or her manager's email, but I don't know if she did get it or not. But cold emailing, it happens. It's part of the industry and whatnot. But I was like hoping in my bones. I'm like, I want her on the podcast. I don't think she's been on a podcast yet. Guess who got her on his
Zane
podcast?
Lowe. Oh,
Zane freaking Lowe, who I love and adore. I'm
I
like,
love
that
him. He's
man is on my
amazing.
vision board. Yeah. When I'm podcasting, he's like, how people look up to Oprah or whoever else?
Yeah.
He's that person to me.
As an artist, it's my dream to go on one of his podcasts. Like
Oh, I can't wait.
he's
When you do
amazing.
go on his podcast, you have to please mention me.
Oh, absolutely. I'm gonna be throwing your name all up in there, like
Yeah, like the first podcast I went on was actually Carlson's, not yours.
yeah.
And then
So
like if he does listen to this one, Zainlo, I love you when you do listen to this, okay?
yes, I literally love him so much. He is so like well articulated, and he
Yeah.
asks amazing questions because you
Yeah.
get a good load of interviews where you're like, why would you ask that?
Yeah.
But he
He's
really
very
studies
thoughtful,
how to,
very like
yeah.
meditation, like oozes off of him. He's amazing.
And he's so chill. Like
He is.
I love him. Anytime when he releases a new episode, like for Apple Music and whatnot, I'm like, oh, I'm all over it.
Yeah.
I've watched so many of his. Tate McRae. Who else has been on there? Like I'm trying to think recently.
Have you heard Willow? Willow had a podcast with him.
I haven't seen that one.
That's a good one.
Okay.
Also, yeah, I'll send you. There's a bunch that are
Yes,
amazing. I know.
he's so
Yeah,
good.
he
Yeah.
is. And then the second person I wanted on the podcast was Jalen Noble. I don't know if you know Monet McMichael, his boyfriend.
Yes, 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 yes.
So he went on a podcast called Not Man Enough last year, and I had
Oh,
him. Yeah, I wanted him to come on my podcast to talk about masculinity and toxic masculinity. And then he went on Not Man Enough podcast with Justin, who I also really like from Jane the Virgin. And I was like, do you know what? I'm actually going to affirm it for myself because this means I'm doing something right as a podcaster.
no,
I'm on the
actually, like
wavelength.
that's so strange though. How like
Yeah,
that's really cool.
I know. But I don't know why I butted in with what I just said, but I think you mentioned something that made me be like, yeah.
Yeah.
See, I ramble as well. I can't even remember what I was
No,
saying.
I think that's really cool how you
That
wanted certain
worked.
people on there and then how it all like came to be. But you get me. And then imagine how cool it would be to like I guess watch this 2 years down the road or however long and it's like I had her first. Like that's so cool.
Yeah, that's how
So
I felt in the beginning before I clicked record on the mic, and I was like, "You're such a lovely person. I'm so happy you said yes to come on
thank you
here,
so
and may you
much.
get many more opportunities, and to be on different podcasts." Okay, I think we have a few more questions, and then I'll let you go. Let me see. But I had an interesting question,
Mhm.
with what you just said in terms of routing into the commercial music. The person who told you about commercial music and studying it, are you in touch with that person? Oh, not really.
No, nothing. They were like a director of so there's something down here in Austin called Zach Theater, and Zach Theater is basically like a cohort that you have to like audition to be in, and they
Hmm.
basically it's like a college readiness but for musical theater, and so they help you prepare your audition songs, they help you look at schools, they'll take you on trips to go to these auditions and whatnot, and they're just kind of preparing you for college and like what musical theater looks like and all of that, and they do showcases and all that. I
Hmm.
ended up not finishing because it was one of those things
Hmm.
where no disrespect to the company or anything at all. I think what they're doing is great and they do it for seniors and I think that's so cool. I just felt like I was an outsider and I don't really do
Oh.
well with situations like that.
Hmm.
Um, I really get in my head about do these people like me? Should I be here?
Mm.
And I hated it. I
Yeah.
did not like it at all. I think that it was like one of those things where those kids have grown up together for years.
Oh no,
They
that's
all
I'm
know
so
each
sorry
other.
you went through that.
And
Yeah.
I was coming in as a senior
Okay.
and they had already spent, so many years of their lives together, and they did a good job of welcoming me. And I actually still follow a few people from the cohort, so I'm in touch
Yeah.
like with them.
Hmm.
But no, I'm not. But I mean, I wish them well. I wish Zach Theater well. If
Yeah.
it weren't for him, I literally don't know what I would be studying in college. Like, I'm so serious. Like, I don't know. I have no clue what I would be studying because I didn't know this was a thing.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad though he guided you to this
Yeah, me
direction and you
too.
came across him. I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah, I needed it. I was so lost my senior year. I didn't know what I was gonna do. Like, I had a school, I was on a full ride. Like, I got my full ride, but I didn't
Mm.
know what I would study. And I feel like picking your major is really daunting. So the fact that he did it at the time that he did, perfect timing, and it was
Yeah,
kind of like meant to be. So yeah.
I love that. Well, I have one more question and then a surprise question from the previous guest. And
Yay.
you need to
Okay.
come up with a question for the next guest. I'll
Oh, this
just
is so
keep that in
cool.
mind. Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
my last question for you as an artist is where do you see yourself in the next 5 years as an artist?
5 years. Okay. I'm 20. I'll be 25. Oh Lord. Okay. So I hope,
Or the next few years? Yeah.
yeah, I hope that my debut album is out by then. I hope that I've gone on a tour, whether it was as an opener or a headliner. That would be
Hmm.
really cool.
Yeah.
I um I see myself getting to collaborate with people that I look up to. I
Hmm.
don't want to, not that I don't want to say names, but like I don't want to sound crazy.
Sound crazy if you want to.
Like there's a few producers that I have dreamed of working with, like Pharrell, of course. He's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Pharrell, Tommy,
Manifest it.
yeah,
Manifest it.
Tommy
Yeah.
Brown, amazing.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I hope that I've gotten to collaborate with people that, whether it's Pharrell or someone that I had, I didn't know previously. I
Mm.
hope that we respect each other's, like, respect each other. Like, I just, no matter the collaboration, I hope that we respect each other and that it's like a good project and we make magic together. Like, that's all you can ever hope for when you're collaborating with somebody. So I
Hmm.
hope to collaborate more and, um, hmm, I don't know, maybe be nominated for like Best New Artist or something like that for the
Yeah.
Grammys. Like, that'd be really cool. So I know 5 years, a lot can happen in 5 years. So
Hmm.
that's why I'm not like I'm playing it safe, but I'm also just like these are realistic things to me. Because
Yeah.
I could release a song in November and it just something crazy and people are all up in my DMs and emails. Like, you just never know. So
Yeah.
I'm very optimistic for the future. But I just really hope that I stay with the music and that I'm able to pay my bill. I don't have bills yet, but like I hope by then I will have some and not
Yeah.
live with my parents. But
Yeah.
like I don't have any bills, but I hope that by then I'll be on my own and living in a place where that I like and able to support myself with my music.
Hmm.
And I'm obviously happy, and if not happy,
Yeah.
then grateful
Hmm.
about who I am and for what I have. And I hope to have a cat and a bunny. I know that's like,
Oh, your face became a bit like wholesome, and I was like, you're gonna say something cute, and I was like, oh my
yeah,
God.
I hope that I have a little cat and a bunny. I
Mm.
already have names for them. I want the bunny to be Lola, and I want the
Oh,
cat to be named Charlie, and Charlie and Lola.
yeah, that's
So
amazing.
I have been dreaming about having a cat and a bunny for the longest time. So if I don't
Mm.
have anything else, if I don't have my Grammy nomination, I don't have a collaboration, I just want my cat and my bunny. That's
And
it.
you will,
I
whether
will.
it's the third or the fourth year we come back to the podcast, they're gonna be featuring.
Yes, I will literally be holding them and you'll see them, my cat and my bunny. Yeah,
Oh,
oh my gosh, thank you so much. So such a good question.
thank
All of
you.
these
And
are great questions.
I appreciate that. It's making me feel like Zane Lowe. Stop. I was gonna say, I was gonna say earlier, I've said this before in the episode, but I will say it again because we're talking about your goals. I absolutely see you as someone who's gonna win a Grammy, not even nomination. Okay, we your Grammy is going to be featuring in the upcoming
Yes!
episode.
We're
So
holding up.
manifesting, cannot wait. And I can't wait to see you achieve your goals. I see that for you. You're very humble. You're very inspiring. You're an artist and it's
Thank you.
beautiful. And I can't wait for your art that's coming out.
Thank you so much.
The final question I have for you, that's from a previous guest called Jada Jones. The
Okay.
question is, what color do you feel embodies you in this moment?
Mm.
And she kind of asked it in terms of color is it's sensory wise. It can kind of, what's the vibe of life lately? How
Mm.
what color has it been?
I like this question. Hmm. I feel this is gonna sound crazy because I'm very particular about my colors. I love
Okay.
pink and green,
Hmm.
um, and I love red for my artistry.
Hmm.
But I'm not gonna say those. I'm feeling orange.
You
Like,
are?
yeah, I'm feeling orange. Like, I feel like orange is just it's bright, but it's just kind of like it's also calming at the same time. Like, it's just orange. And I normally hate orange, but I feel orange. It's like I
That's
don't
what's
know.
coming out.
Yeah, I don't know why. I just feel orange. I don't know what that means. It just feels like it's not yellow because when you say yellow, you feel like bright, happy, but orange is like calm. I feel tranquil and just kind of.
That's what orange symbolizes tranquility. And my
Are you
last
serious?
guest who I recorded with, I think he forgot to give me another question because I didn't put it down here. He's called Mali, my musician friend,
Uh-huh.
who also just released an EP. I asked him the question because I was so curious on his answer, and he said
Yeah.
orange as
Oh, that's so
well. And you're
cool.
both
Yeah.
artists, and he couldn't explain it. He said, "Listen, you asked me the question, I answered. Let's find the
Yeah,
meaning."
I was like, I'm trying to explain it, but I just feel tranquil. Like I just feel chill. Like I said, yellow's too bright. Yellow's too like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm so happy. But not that I'm not happy, but I'm just kind of here. Like I'm just tranquil. I feel like the orange kind of gets forgotten about.
yeah.
So it's
And you
just
two artists are trying to bring it back out. No, we love that.
yeah. I'm feeling orange. I don't know why, but yeah, that's a great question.
Thank you.
I have my question for the next guest.
Yes, now it's your time to ask for the next
Okay.
guest. Hmm.
My question to them is, when was the last time you did
Hmm.
something for the first time?
Oh, beautiful question.
Thank you.
I can't wait to ask. And
Yay!
that's a wrap on the podcast. Thank you for being here for your first ever podcast. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you. I did. I had so much fun. Like, I don't want to leave.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for
I'm
having me.
gonna link everything down below. I'll reach out to you and you can tell me what you want linked down below. And I cannot wait for the beautiful aliens to listen to your episodes,
Yes.
to your episodes for the podcast and your music.
Yes, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for
Manifesting.
having me. There was a moment maybe about 30 minutes ago where I was just like li listening to you and just staring at you. And
Oh,
I know it doesn't sound creepy, but I really recognize when people have like beautiful auras and souls to them. And
wow.
I'm just looking at you and it makes me want to cry. And I'm emotional, but not like in the I'm a crier every day, but when I do get emotional, I take that very heavily because I don't really, I'm sort of working through all of that, like my emotions.
Hmm.
But I'm looking at you. I'm like, you possess such a beautiful soul. Like I can feel, and this is through a screen. But
Stop. You're so
I can
sweet.
feel it. I can
Thank
feel it,
you.
and I'm so glad that I got to experience this for the first time with you and no one
Oh,
else. Like truly,
I'm
I'm so
honored.
glad that you
Yeah.
invited me here. Like I loved talking to you. You're a great listener. You just
Thank
have
you.
such like you were understanding me. And
Yeah.
like I said, I feel like going through this life, we just want to feel understood and loved.
Oh, yeah.
And I really did feel all the love and understanding.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate it. I loved communicating. I feel like especially in the beginning, I was like, I just met you, and part of me was like, control yourself, and the other part of me was like, no, no, just go with the flow. That's what we
Yes,
do.
just go with the flow. I'm so glad like we got to warm up and all that because I was like, okay, like I like her. But that's really
Thank
how
you.
that's the thing. You kind of it's like a skill when you know if you will kind of befriend somebody because you just feel it. It's kind of like you've known each other for forever. So I love
Yeah.
coming across people like that. Yeah, it's so
Absolutely.
fun. I'm so excited to see this like be edited and everything, and I will be watching it. I will be linking it all over my social media. I'm
Oh,
so
thank you.
excited.
I
Yes.
really appreciate it. I'm trying to stop. Let me stop the recording. And then